Holy 4 hours, Robin. I'm sorry the Joker did that to you.
And we're live.
We're
I was on
live.
mute. I was on mute. I was like trying to talk and I was on mute. Hey, PJ.
Hello, So L.
What's up?
Um, I don't know. I just watched this movie earlier. It's called Zack Snyder's Justice League. I didn't think it was going to be very good. I said I'll watch 1, 2 chapters maybe, and I'll turn it off and I'll pick it up again. By the way, I just gotta say it works very well in chapters. If you don't want to watch the
Hmm.
movie all the way through, you can watch 1 or 2 chapters and pick it up. They tend to give you like they're like almost like episodic segments that don't necessarily work as episodes of a TV show, maybe. So maybe it was a good idea not to release these chapters weekly like they were thinking about.
Right.
But it gives you the option because the screen goes to black, and you get the chapters.
You get the chapters. It's nice. I actually loved this. I loved it. It was fantastic. I didn't know what to expect because there was a lot of hype around it. So I thought maybe it was going to be great, but I was surprised at how great it actually was. Like it's a really solid film. Maybe I'm just so like hyped from seeing it, but we recently watched the theatrical and so I have a pretty close um memory of it to compare it to, and this was like leagues, haha, no pun intended. Uh, it was leagues above that film. It made sense, like and it was just. I actually think it's not an exaggeration to say that this is DC's best superhero movie.
Yeah, it is.
Like this is
Well,
their
in the DCEU, I
yeah
think.
in the D.
Oh, we lost Starfleet boy. He froze. I don't know. Maybe it's my computer because every time
Went
there's,
away. My
I'm
video went
hosting people
away.
with video. Yeah, your video went away.
Okay. How much did you miss?
You're back now. No, you just there was nothing. You
Oh,
just
what was I
froze, and then
saying last? Do you remember?
I can't even remember.
Oh, all right. Well, basically, I mean, I still have my favorites like the Tim Burton era
Oh yeah,
Batman
yeah, yeah.
and stuff like that. But this was a spectacular. Like for a while, DC's kind of been just like, okay, cool. Marvel's like where I gravitated to a lot more, and this film made me very interested in the future of the Justice League and like these characters and these versions of the characters. Like, I would love to see another film with this ensemble together again.
Yeah, I definitely would want to see a continuation of this. And yeah, there's a bit of deliberately setting up sequels in this movie that
I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a Flash sequel, right? I mean, a Flash movie. Sorry, not a sequel, but like the actual Flash
we will get a Flash
movie.
movie with Michael Keaton and possibly Ben Affleck. None of this has been like officially confirmed, but it will involve the multiverse and Flashpoint or something. And uh, the actress who plays Iris West has been cast in that movie, so they're at least acknowledging her character from this version of Justice League. And also,
Oh, right on.
Steppenwolf mentions the multiverse at one point.
Yep.
There's an element of time travel, and um, Joker talks about timelines. So yeah,
So
we'll get
yeah,
into all that.
yeah they're
But
fully open to getting wild,
mm,
which I like. I mean, I think audiences today really understand a lot more than like people used to say like, oh, we stay away from this kind of stuff because audiences might not get it. But I think audiences today, for the most part, like this stuff is not too foreign or too far out anymore because we've had it so much, like in popular in pop culture and stuff like that. So I think time travel and the idea of the multiverse is like super acceptable nowadays. So it's like people can follow very easily.
and it's all in the way you introduce it. If you just it's all in the execution. Like based on the trailers for the original Justice League, my personal opinion was it didn't look very good. It looked really ugly. The effects look awful. And you know what? This movie has that whole third act Zack Snyder thing where I'm looking at a bunch of CG nonsense. However, it is so well executed and framed, and visually it just works much better. Uh, this is the most vibrant looking Snyder movie I've ever seen, and I'm partially colorblind. I see colors a little bit differently than everybody else. I won't get into it, but anyway, I find that with his movies, any movie that does color grading or saturates or desaturates the image, it has more of an effect on me. Some things look like really, really dull in certain movies. An example is um, what was it? The last one of the last James Bond movies with Pierce Brosnan uses a lot of weird color grading in this, and it just looks awful. But what they do with the colors in here, even though I don't see them like normies do, it just looks very vibrant and it looks very appealing. And even though you do get that, they improve some of the effects. There is this part with Aquaman where he crashes through a building on top of a parademon, and in the original version, he slides out very like it looks very phony. It kind of looks like how Doomsday slides out when he crashes through something in Batman v Superman. It's that kind of same shot where it looks so bad, but especially bad because it's a live action actor in this like CG plate, right? But they slightly improve that effect, and they also do some things with Wonder Woman's visual effects that you didn't see in the original version.
Yeah, that whole scene in the bank or whatever. Was it a bank? What was it? The or
Yeah,
that just that building. Yeah, I think it was like a bank or something like was much better. It played out better. Like it felt like I don't know, it just felt I don't know if it's the
there was
same.
no upskirting apparently with Wonder
Oh,
Woman that people
was that
complained
scene
about.
gone? I didn't realize it was
They
gone
didn't
just
upskirt
yet.
her, no.
That's great.
Not
There
that
were other
even
things
not
they
that there
got rid
even
of.
wasn't not that even
The, my,
not that it was an issue. I'm saying it's just like they just
right.
didn't do it because people
My
were like, "That's sexist," but whatever. Yeah,
my favorite thing about this movie, I'm being I'm joking around here, but my favorite thing was that they cut that family that was living in Chernobyl out completely, and the whole
yeah.
people
And
living there, and the apartment building, and the house, and the truck, and the
it's
you know
like, "Hey,
like
honey, where do you want to move? Let's go to Chernobyl." Like nobody
yeah,
would live
really.
there. It made no
Yeah,
sense for
exactly.
anybody to be there.
I know. And so that was like the best thing ever. Like to me, when I saw that they were gone, I was like, this is a serious movie at last. Because that was such a
Uh,
dumb, right? That
yeah,
was such a dumb scene. Like it was so out of place and it was so stupid. But also that just that whole like cutting back to that family did
yeah,
nothing for the previous film. It did like, it was comedy a little bit, but not really, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that was really great. And then they fixed, I feel like, uh, I don't know if this is real or just I'm perceiving it different, but like Superman's pants didn't look weird anymore to me in the scene where he was resurrected and he was fighting all of them.
all
Looked
of that is
more
pretty much
like
all of that is almost exactly the same except for a few
same. Okay,
things.
well it just looked
If
different.
you
Maybe
the
right.
interaction with Batman is different. Let's go into the aspect ratio for one thing.
Sure.
Why the movie looks the way it does for people who don't quite understand. We had one viewer and we got one comment. Let's see. Hey guys, I haven't seen the film yet, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts anyway.
Hey,
Uh,
Robbie, you got him.
well,
We're gonna be talking about him.
he left because I don't think he wants to be spoiled for the movie. He should watch it
Oh,
himself.
gotcha.
But anyway,
Well,
the
if you're still there, ask us your questions.
so as you know, the 2017 Justice League is in the 16:9 aspect ratio. Uh, this is not the way that Zack Snyder framed the entire movie. The entire movie was supposed to be the way he composed the shots and the way he told the cinematographer, this is how you frame each character and each scene and each everything is in the 4:3 aspect ratio. So if you actually do comparisons, say you go to the Wonder Woman scene in the bank, and just take a look at the scene where she lifts the guy up in the rope. That's a good example because you can look at the 4:3 and you can look at the 16:9 on like your phone or something and hold it up. And you can actually see that there's more information on the top and bottom when you're looking at the 4:3. So it was actually cropped, slightly cropped, not too much, but you can see the difference. You can see like you can see more up and down, basically, right? So that when you
Well,
have these,
I'll just
when
say this also: the aspect ratio is 100% perfect for my iPad, and it looks beautiful. Like it's not a huge screen like a TV, like, but the fact that the way it looks on the iPad looks so good, like because of the fact that it fills the whole screen, and it was actually framed that way, as opposed to chopped, cropped to be that
wait,
way. So it's
the
really nice.
iPad, you have an iPad that's like a 4:3 screen.
Yeah, it's roughly a 4:3 ratio on the
Okay,
screen, and so it looked perfect. Like it was framed like there was no bars anywhere, and it looked really good. I didn't watch it on my iPad all the way. I watched it on my TV, but I wanted to see what it looked like on the iPad at one point, so I pulled it up, and that's how it was.
it'd be interesting if somebody had an old 4:3 television and they hooked it up and watched it that way. But yeah, it's it's totally meant to be framed that way. So the cinematography in the actual movie, it's this version of the movie is superior to Justice League, and you see all it takes is a bit of cropping. You know, some people are enthusiasts for like how a movie is meant to be, in what aspect ratio the movie is meant to be seen in. Like I've been on film sets where they have the monitor that they're looking at, and they have like tape to represent the aspect ratio that they want to see it, and that's how they frame it, and that's how they look at it through the monitor. So it's like a 4:3 monitor, but you're looking at the video feed of what they want to film, but they actually have like a tape representing what aspect ratio they want it to be seen
Oh
in.
yeah, like yeah, that's this. I think it's standard in the industry that like they're gonna be like actually sometimes they're 16:9 monitors, and you have all the different like
Yeah, yeah,
aspect ratios marked out, and and like what you said, they frame intentionally within the aspect ratio that they intend to release it in. So yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense.
And also, filmmakers can film things with another aspect ratio besides what they're intending to use in mind. Uh, Certain shows that from the 90s, like X Files, for example, uh, that was in DS9, were shows that were filmed in a way that uh, it was intended for the 4:3 aspect ratio, but the actual width of the 35 millimeter film is like halfway between 16:9 and 4:3.
Right.
So they also film to match that kind of
The
thing, right?
information's there, in other words, so you can
Yeah.
actually like format it for widescreen if you wanted to. Exactly.
And it's funny how they've always been afraid to give us just like the regular 35 millimeter aspect ratio, which is not like filling out the 16:9 screen. You still have like slight bars on the sides, but they just say screw it and just zoom all the way in, right? But with this movie, it's like they just like they don't compromise. Like this is full 4:3. If you don't like the bars on the sides, get used to it. And why wouldn't you be used to it anyway? So many people are used to looking at the bars on the top and bottom anyway. They're only shifting to the sides, right? You know what I mean? And it makes you enthusiastic for seeing it in IMAX when finally in like a theater, because it's gonna have
Oh
like
yeah, it'll look
the
really
way that's
great.
gonna look in a theater is gonna be friggin' awesome on a huge screen. Yeah,
Um, the Green Lantern had more scenes in it. The alien looking Green Lantern. Do you know anything about that dude?
yeah, he's one of the ancient Green Lanterns.
But what is he?
Oh, well, he's some kind of alien species.
Oh, but nothing that
They recruit from all over the cosmos.
right. No, I know that. I remember. So is what's his face? Ryan Reynolds, is he still interested in being the Green Lantern? Like, or is that like do you think they'll just
Uh,
recast
I think
if the Green
I
Lantern
think
ever comes
recently he
back?
watched the movie for the first time.
What?
If
That's crazy.
I'm not
That's
mistaken,
funny.
he live tweeted about his first viewing of it. So I don't
Oh,
know.
wow. Did you uh did you tune in? Was he like into it?
No, no, I just heard about it after the fact.
Oh, gotcha. I
So
don't know
this
why I
movie,
said tune in that way. Did you tune in?
did you they have a Batman v Superman tie-in at the beginning. This is how the movie opens, right? You got the WB logo, and literally it goes straight to Superman being impaled by Doomsday. And these opening credits and stuff, they go on for like 10, 11, 12 minutes, dude. Like they go through like 18 scenes or something. I don't know. I got to go through it, but they go through a lot of scenes in just the opening credits alone. And they're still slow and dragged out. They still take their time with everything. You know what I mean? And they pack so much in. And this is why a lot of people will, I think, be annoyed because they're like, these shots linger too long. Why? Like, it's a lot of, it's lethargic. Is that a word that aptly describes this? There's a
I
it,
like it takes its time. I wouldn't say it's not lethargic is kind of like lazy to me, but
yeah, it's true. Yeah, sorry. No, it's
it's it's like there are good words.
there's a word I'm missing that describes this perfectly.
Um, but but
It's
yeah,
it's intentionally slow,
intentionally
but
slow, yeah. Which but that's what I really enjoyed about it. Actually,
I did.
the pacing was really fantastic, and I like that about it. Um, oh, Blue says I liked how his dying voice is what activated. Yeah, I like the explain. There were so many great explanations too, like how what were they called the boxes? What are they actually called? I'm blanking right
Oh, the
now.
mother boxes.
The mother boxes, thank you. The mother grabbing boxes. The mother boxes were dormant until Superman died, and it was his death that
Exactly. Yes.
activated them, which I thought was very cool and very interesting.
And the way they do that echo of his scream is just so well done, and it goes on and on and on, and it's, you know what Snyder's doing. He's giving. This is why it needs to be 4 hours, because he's giving adequate screen time to all the different factions that are involved in this epic, like Lord of the Rings level kind of like
It is. It's epic. I was thinking actually,
eighth
it
Avengers
reminded
movie
me.
level stuff. You know,
It reminded
this is
me of
equivalent to Endgame and
how
uh,
long was Endgame?
not Endgame, more like Infinity War than Endgame.
How long was that? Was that like 4 hours long?
No, no, I'm talking about in terms of epic
No,
scope.
I actually was gonna say it reminded me of the scope, reminded me of like those classic, like the pacing and the
Cleopatra,
scope
Ben
and
Hur, stuff like that.
yeah, man, like 100%. Like I actually was enjoying it on that kind of level. Like it was easy, like what you said earlier. Like it takes its time. It doesn't like rush through anything. Like everything was like really thought out, and it felt like again just because we've been watching all of these Snyder cuts recently,
Yeah,
like so I have it in my I guess I have it so recent in my brain that I really enjoyed the payoff. The payoff was really good in this film. If you've been watching all the other associated films along with it, and including Wonder Woman, I think she like Diana Prince has like a better role in this, and so does Wonder Woman. Like it was just like a lot. Everything was just so much more fleshed out. Like I don't remember her going into the underchamber. Well, I guess that did happen, but I don't know. Just everything just felt cut better. The Snyder cut just flows better. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So even scenes that were in the previous cut, like, just seem better placed now that they're fleshed out with all these other cutout scenes, put in with them. So like even if it's like a 1 minute or a 30-second scene, it's enhancing the film so much more. But yeah, like especially what was great was Cyborg and the Flash getting more screen time, because now you really see their stories, and I'm glad they cut out. It felt like they cut out some of the dumb humor between the two of them. Like that was gone. Like they didn't do the fist bump thing anymore, right? Like that
Yeah,
was gone.
this is the
And
first. This is the first film where
even though
Zack.
I didn't mind that, but what's that?
People complain about Zack Snyder's dreary approach, and it's all dour and depressing and stuff. I get it. Trust me, I like Man of Steel and I like BVS Ultimate Edition, but I get that complaint. Trust me. I also get the complaint of how the CG sometimes is just too artificial looking, or the scenes. Not that necessarily CG. CG can look bad, but still be well composed and well framed, and that's what saves this movie. Is that even though some of the things look very artificial and some of the stuff in the third act and whatnot, it's framed so well, it's composed, and you can follow the action so much easier than you could in the 2017 version. It's like one thing goes to the other, and it's like this like supercharged action, but it's not jarring. It's not like you're looking at nothing. It's more like it's more like you're looking at fine art. I don't know how to explain it. It's like paintings. You could freeze frame any part of it and be like, wow, that looks really cool. But yeah,
I love the inclusion of you'd been hinting at the Martian Manhunter, and I love the inclusion of him. The only thing I didn't like is I really felt that scene was really strong between Martha Kent and
yeah.
and Lois. So like
They
now
kind of cheat you out of it. It felt like.
yeah, it kind of got cheated. Yeah, exactly. That
We'll
that
get into
and then
that.
later when she comes back, like at some point, the thing is that at some point off camera, they're gonna talk about that moment, right? And Martha's not gonna remember. She's gonna be like, "I never came to Metropolis to see you. I don't know what you're talking about."
And then
So
the music will play.
right, and then at the end when he like I didn't I it made it seem like before in the other cut, it made it seem like Bruce Wayne had Lois on standby as a contingency plan, right? Like that was the whole thing. Bring it, sent Alfred sent in the big guns, right, or whatever it was, right? And that was cut out in favor of the Martian Manhunter, inspiring her to go out once again. So he has this kind of like
Yeah,
meddling vibe, right? Like that he's like he came and he did that Martha Kent thing. So and he
he's
says it
he's
to get her
he's
to go out again because maybe he knows. Like I don't know. It was
yeah,
weird.
okay. But Martian Manhunter looks awful. Let's get that out of the way for one
He
thing.
does. I like this character.
The CG is like
Really,
CW level stuff. It's like,
really, I thought
what
it
is
was
it? What is
great.
it? But
I
see,
thought he was
that's in comparison to a lot of good good stuff. And by the way, they only had half the amount of time to finish twice the amount of effects than the original movie or something like that, right? And by the way, some of the some very few were actually completed visual effects. That's why there's this debate about was it real? There was an assembly cut. The Zack Snyder cut was real for the longest time, in the sense that you would watch it. It's only in black and white. There was only a black and white version that he had to work with, and that's why he wants to release a black and white version of this, because he has an affection for like seeing it all those times in black and white. But it's an assembly cut, so basically the movie's black and white. It's like this. It's structured like this, right? Minus the nightmare stuff at the end, all the epilogue stuff. Uh, it's basically this movie, because almost all of this movie is stuff that was already filmed. This is like well over 4 hours of stuff that he did back then for the movie. So he had it in the bag. It was all complete, you know what I mean? Except for the stuff he shot later on with the Joker and stuff. And I think there might be some other things in there here and there, but you would see the movie and then it would be a visual effects shot, right? And it would be like incomplete, or it'd be like a storyboard going across the screen or something like that. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a complete film. And then you would have some shots which were completed with visual effects and some that weren't. It was just that simple. It wasn't. And then, of course, when he left, they did a whole revamp on the pre-production, reshot a whole bunch of stuff, and that's where you get Joss Whedon's Justice League. So I really appreciate the fact that almost everything you see in this movie was stuff that was filmed 5, 6 years ago. And you can tell at the end with Ben Affleck, this is like Ben Affleck 5 years later, because
yeah.
he looks good, man. I give him credit. He's looking better than he has been in a long time. And but he's getting up there. He's in his 50s now, and by the time if they ever do another Justice League, he'll be in his late 50s, and
Well,
hopefully he appears in the
there's
Flash.
hints at Robin being in it. Like so okay, so at the end, also the whole thing with Lex worked way better, just the way it was like done for some reason. Like did they reshoot any
Let's
of
not
that?
skip to the end. Let's not talk
Oh,
about the
okay.
end so much, but let's just go back. Let's rewind
All
and
right, fine.
go back to the beginning of the movie as a whole. Aquaman. What did you think? Was this superior to the version that you saw in 2017? It's a lot of it's different. There was a lot of this stuff that was reshot. First, it starts off with Bruce Wayne like taking a long journey, so you understand it's taking him a long time to get there, because the villagers assume that he came in on a boat, and he's like, there are no boats coming in, so how did you get here? So they're kind of impressed or surprised that he took the long way around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Arthur Curry's a bit like he's a bit no, he just straight up says no. There isn't, and there is no friendly banter as much, or it doesn't seem as jovial as it did in the uh, Whedon verse or the Whedon version. What do you think?
It doesn't seem as silly, I guess, is what it is. There's still some humor in it, I thought, in the scenes, but and it is more straight. I think it is straighter to the point um than it was before, and less stylized, I guess. It was more like it felt like a real scene rather than like a funny scene or whatever. It felt like a serious scene for sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and Aquaman's a bit more aggressive. But then he just they go out and he knows that he's Bruce Wayne. He gives him the money, by the way, big large stack of money. And Aquaman goes out, and this explains the weird shot in Joss Whedon's version. Remember when he's like, you dress up as a bat, and he laughs at him, and then you cut back to
Hmm.
Bruce Wayne, and all the villagers are all of a sudden there behind him.
Right.
This you actually see them walk up. You know what I mean? So you get like, okay, now everybody knows. By the way, Bruce Wayne doesn't have a secret identity anymore. Everybody fucking knows who Bruce Wayne is. Like
Yeah,
everybody,
that's
like there's so many people in this movie who know who he is.
yeah, that's why it didn't. Uh, you said not to talk about the end, but that's why that's like I
No,
kind of
not talk
chuckled
about the
when
end. I mean, just
right, but
linger
I
on the
kind
end.
of
Yeah,
chuckled when Luther's like, I have a bit of information that's going to be very good for you to know, and he's like, Batman is Bruce Wayne, and I was like laughing because I actually thought the same thing. I was like, that's not a secret
yeah.
anymore. Like everyone knows that, but yeah.
But that was, I
Um,
think, was supposed to lead into the solo Ben Affleck Batman movie, which was supposed to be him against Tim's, what is it, Slade Wilson, or Deathstroke. Yeah,
mm. But that's no longer happening because we're getting the Robert Pattinson version, I guess, right?
yeah. But multiverse, multiverse, multiverse. It doesn't matter anymore. People are under the mindset that like, oh, this version is done. It's like never say never anymore. It's like going back to the days where
Mm.
with Sean Connery, never say never again,
Yeah, it's a good
coming out the
comparison.
same year as Roger Moore's Octopussy or something like that, right?
Hmm.
I think that was Octopussy.
I don't remember if it was Octopussy, but yeah, it came out at the same time. That's right.
No, Octopussy was 1983 and A View to a Kill was in 85. Yeah, I think, yeah. And 83 was also Never Say Never again. But yeah, you never say never. Like people say, will Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans ever come back as their big characters? I'm sure we're going to see Ben Affleck again. I,
I hope so. He's great as Batman.
I'm sure we're going to see Henry Cavill.
Alfred was better in this version
Oh,
of
Alfred was so good.
Alfred was better. He had like better stuff to do, and like I just like also I got the sense that he was really pleased in a way. It was kind of like there's a sub story or a subtext of like down and out Batman who's like kind of failure Batman, and like now he has some friends again, and it's nice, you know what I mean? Like, and Alfred was probably like really chuffed and cheesed about the fact that like that was happening, and then I can't remember. It felt like a new scene, but like going into Wayne Manor at the end and talking about the circular table, was that in the Joss Whedon cut? PJ? I
Oh
think
yeah,
we lost
I thought
PJ.
we were talking about Alfred. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
Alfred's all connected to Wayne Manor, but like, was that scene in the Joss Whedon cut? I can't remember the circle
yeah, yeah.
table.
The end, the
Oh, it
circle
was
table
okay.
thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So I'm pretty sure Snyder didn't use anything that Whedon shot. By the way, our first introduction to Alfred in this is when they get off the plane after Aquaman says no, and Alfred's like, so zero, like you haven't recruited anybody yet, so like he's like, maybe you're not cut out to be a recruiter, hmm. And there's like, that funny banter, and he also has some of the good lines with Diana. He has some moments with her, right? That that weren't there, and he has some serious conversations with Bruce talking about his guilt over what he did to Superman. He feels responsible for what's happened to Superman, and that's much clearer in this version. You know what I mean? It's there's no bones about it. Batman's all like changed. He's like saw the light. He's like one of these come to Jesus guys now, right? You know what I mean? He's a completely different character from BVS, but it's not jarring. They tell you why he's like this now and why he's
Right.
all fucking all about faith. And like he literally tells Alfred, he's like, I'm going on faith now.
Hmm.
And Alfred's like, okay, Master Bruce.
I liked it. He calls um, he calls Superman Master Kent at the end. That was cool. That was a neat
Yeah.
little touch. Again, and also everyone knows who Superman is, I guess, too. So there's like the at least the Super Friends do, right? Like they all know. Yeah, that was very cool. The whole movie just I think landed so much better for me. Like I actually on Twitter was talking about how like, I used to kind of think these were a little too cartoony and too going back to kind of like the Joel Schumacher look
Mm,
that I
yeah.
didn't appreciate, but I think I was wrong about that. I think it's a good balance between realistic
They're mythical films.
yeah,
They don't feel like real world films. Marvel feels like real world action comedy. It's like the real world, but like
right,
with like super future technology everywhere
right.
and extraordinary people like around every corner. You know what I mean? And the DC is kind of this mythic, where Zack Snyder's approach is this mythic kind of like storytelling where there are
Well, yeah, we have
there are old themes of even Macbeth in there. Somebody was talking about, this is not my idea, but somebody brought up the mother boxes and how they changed into like demons at the end, and it's kind of representative of the three witches, which is prevalent in a lot of old lore and shit like that, and what that
bubble,
means.
toil and trouble. Yeah, exactly.
These little demons.
Or witches. Yeah, that was interesting that the mother boxes turned into those things and how in the beginning, yeah, there was a lot. You're right, 100% right about the mythical quality as compared to where it's more grounded, even though um it's also fantastical in Marvel, but Marvel's 100% more grounded in like everyday, like what's very familiar to us, whereas obviously in Wonder Woman there's gods and things like that. I loved I felt like PJ, those scenes were actually extended, like that whole battle in the past, because I don't remember like Ares being that prominent before, or getting I maybe I'm just like, again, maybe
Oh,
it's because
that's a differently constructed scene altogether. Yeah, that's not the
yeah.
same. That's not the same thing. They're using the same like shots of certain actors and stuff like that.
Right, but
But there's a
it's different. It's
it's
fleshed out
different.
more. It's like it
It
felt
looks
like,
good.
and then before it wasn't it before it was like Steppenwolf, and now it was what's his face?
Dark Side.
Darkseid, right? Like that was the difference too. And then okay, so I don't understand what anti-life, that whole thing of like
The
how,
anti-life equation.
right, but I don't understand. Like, so he like that thing he lays down when he slams his hammer is the anti-life equation, I'm assuming. But how did they not know they were on Earth? Like, how did they lose the coordinates of where they were? That's the part I don't understand about the new kind of thing.
You know, like why can't Darkseid just go there now, or like teleport there? Like
They actually didn't know where they lost the planet that they were on. Like, they didn't know that. Like, they kept saying throughout the movie, like, I found the planet that has the, like, they were there before, but they didn't know where they were. Like, somehow
okay, yeah, yeah.
what I mean? Somehow, like, the information of where the equation was lost, and so was the location of the mother boxes. Like, they couldn't find it. So
So
it's like after they retreated, they didn't know where they just were, and I didn't understand
yes,
that. That was kind of a weird thing.
so this anti-life equation is a second MacGuffin they put in the movie. That's something Darkseid really wants, which is basically setting up his invasion of Earth. That's all that's there for. And what it does is, if you whatever it is, I don't even know if it's an object or whatever it is. It's a physical thing or it's like ether or something. Who knows? Is it an infinity stone? um, but whatever it is, if you harness its power, you can bend all living beings to your will. It's just it's the power to just enslave everybody. And I don't know if that's turning them into parademons or just what. I don't know. But that's something that they might explore. that they would naturally explore in the sequel if there ever
It
will be one.
I I really wish I really wish that this gets a release in IMAX. I guess that's the
It
plan.
will. It will. Yeah.
Because that scene when Steppenwolf is thrown back at Darkseid through the portal,
Oh, you
and
keep jumping right to the very end.
well, because it's like the climax is always like the best thing to talk about, right? But I just want to say like that's gonna look amazing on. It's gonna be very exhilarating to see that head rolling through, and that
Oh,
satisfaction is gonna be awesome.
spoiler alert! No, I'm
There's
joking. I'm joking.
who the fuck cares?
What did
But
you think of
anyways,
Jim? What did you think of Jimmy Olsen? Let's jump back to the first 17 minutes of the movie.
wait a second. Jimmy Olsen's not in the movie.
He's the cop. He was
What?
cut. He was cut out of this version, and Whedon, I think, shot the scene with Flash when he puts the marker on the dude's face, and the guy who's the clerk at the county jail or the prison or whatever. He's the guy who played Jimmy Olsen, but they put him in because his scene got cut as the cop, right? So now his scene has been restored. All of his scenes, he's at the beginning. He gives Lois gives him coffee, and then later on,
But
like
that older dude, he
he's
played
he
Jimmy Olsen?
yeah in the Donner yeah
That's him? Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Okay, that's so
in
cool.
in, in
Yeah, I
five
knew that would
in
be Scott,
five
but
movies, by the way, 5 movies.
holy moly, that's fantastic. That to me, that's
Superman
great.
1, 2, 3, 4, and Supergirl.
Considering that I hated what they did to the character Jimmy Olsen, that's a nice redemption to
You
put
you
the
can you can go
actual
back now
actor.
and see like, hey, there's Jimmy.
Yeah, that's really
Jimmy and
cool.
Lois. Jimmy and Lois are friends. It's cool.
That is really cool.
Except he's a cop.
He's a cop. That's very cool. I like that a lot, though. That's very cool.
So let's talk about the Wonder Woman scene.
Sure.
This is a damn good scene, and this is only, like I said, this is only the first chapter. We're only in the first chapter, uh, and it gets into 18 minutes in. It gets to like almost like a climax of an episode. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, now we get the big action beat of the chapter, and it's fucking damn good, dude. It's brutal. She straight up kills a couple of dudes. She definitely kills
She
one
has no
dude.
choice. Those dudes were out to. They were
Murder
not.
children. And they bring it home by having the dude tell the kids like, "Shut the fuck up," and it's like,
Right.
whoa, you don't hear that, and he's saying it to kids, and they're talking about we will kill. They keep reiterating like the violence toward the children, which really like will set a lot of people off. Will get people's blood going, right? So when Wonder Woman's like bashing those guys across the room, and you see like blood stains on the walls after they make the impact, like those guys are either severely injured, dead, but
Well,
she,
this is an R-rated cut, so
oh yeah,
I would expect nothing less. But yeah, it is.
and
Was
Zack,
the one the we didn't cut PG-13? Was it lacking all this stuff?
then it's the same scene in some ways. Like there are some
But
exact
there's just
thing.
certain different little differences here and there.
It's it's a better, more brutal scene, and it could probably rub people the wrong way. They'd be like, "Oh, Wonder Woman's oh wow, Wonder Woman, he's killed that guy. Wow, his head just fucking
I
bashed against the wall there." But
I feel
anyway,
like when they do killings, it's usually when they have no choice but to do it because that guy was like out of control. I also
but
thought it
that's
was
what I'm saying.
interesting.
They're talking about killing children over and over, and they're actually using profanity against
Right,
the children, which is even more like
right. So
it
it's
gets
like
the audience going,
she
right?
really but just bottom line, she had no choice. Like the dude was not going to stop. So like I like that. I like that.
Oh,
We
can we talk about that specific thing? Like you said, they're not going to stop. I don't know the guy's name. He's from Game of Thrones. I keep calling him Discount Charles Dance, but
that wasn't
he's
Charles Dance
no,
because Charles Dance is in Game of Thrones,
yeah, no.
but that
That
wasn't
was
him.
He was
Oh,
another actor in the show. They all kind of look alike.
that's so funny. I'm like, wait a second,
All
I thought that
generic
was
looking
Charles
British white guys. Uh,
Dance.
but anyway, his shooting, right, and her blocking at the very end. I mean, of the confrontation, that was intense, dude. I was watching, I was like, holy shit, this is so much better than the original version, because then he switches the gun to like, and like, and then he empties the clip and he's about to put another, like, he's like, he's basically telling her, you need to kill me or I'll keep going. Like, this is not going to stop. I have many clips in my pocket. You know what I mean? Like, and he's literally asking for it. And she takes the reverberation from all the bullets and she explodes his ass into probably a million little pieces. And all that's left of him is a fucking hat that floats down. And I was like, damn, this is a good scene. It's a damn good scene. This is what sold me in the movie right away. Like, I was like, I don't know. Maybe this will be really good. I don't know. I just have no idea. I'm like, then I saw this. I was like, oh, if this is what the action beats are going to be like, I'm in. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, totally. No, the action was way better paced. I'm so glad they got rid of the family. We also got the scene with uh, Victor and his mom, which I don't think was in. I don't remember that scene, at least in the Whedon cut. Was it
the greatest thing about this movie is that they actually have whole entire roles that were never in the
in the
original cut.
original movie? Yeah.
So you have actors who never got their chance to shine in a big superhero movie actually do, like his mother. You get a lot more of his dad. You get his backstory with the football stuff.
Oh yeah, his dad was a hero in this movie, and I don't think that the dad really had like much of a. Does he even the dad doesn't even die in the previous film, right? Like he's just
Yeah,
kind
I
of.
actually cared about Cyborg.
Yeah, Cyborg was fantastic. Like I cared about him too. He was like the biggest
They flesh him out
casualty
so well.
of the previous cut. This is like a real good moment for this actor, I thought, as well to and the character of Cyborg. It was really fantastic. And he holds his own. The performers are all great. Like and you get I love the connect going I just love the connections. They really feel like the super friends to me. You know what I mean? Like they really
Yeah,
feel like these people are like enjoying each other, they're getting to know each other, they're and there's like a whole setup of like how Batman is kind of the leader just because he's like the oldest and he's like kind of tired but he wants to still do good and he realizes he can't be the lone fighter anymore. He needs a team now and he's got a great like that. It's like fantastic. Yeah, I like it all. And I just like again super the whole scene with Superman later when he's back. Superman's just better in this movie too. Superman was stupid, I thought, also in the in the other cut, and it didn't make sense. But in this version, he like really makes sense, and his return and how he like yeah, and he's just awesome when he's fighting Steppenwolf later on. It's yeah, I know you told me not to skip it. I couldn't help it. I
no,
had
it's okay. No, it's okay. It's fine.
that.
But let's that's good. That's fine. But after that Wonder Woman scene, right? We're still in chapter one, and this is how good it is in chapter one. Right after the Wonder Woman scene is the Themyscira scene where Steppenwolf attacks for the first time, and you could argue that some of the effects are questionable, like they were in the 2017 version, but it's a lot better overall. It really is. It's a lot more brutal. Uh, Steppenwolf looks better. He sounds better. They actually gave him like bigger eyes, I guess, to emote with. His mouth movements are perfectly in sync. So much better than the awful PS2 cutscene graphic that was 2017 Steppenwolf, which was an
I
abomination.
I
And he
also like
actually
his
looks like the
armor.
Steppenwolf from BVS that was originally intended. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and his armor was cool. It reminded me a little bit of that um, Minotaur thing from Thor, the first
Mm,
Thor movie. But that's
yes.
what I liked about it. I thought it was cool, cool armor.
Yes, it's like really, you have these really godly advanced beings with like this weird, almost like sorcery like technology
Mm-hmm.
that they're in possession of that you don't quite understand. It's good that you don't understand it because it's like beyond.
What's the name of the dude that Steppenwolf keeps talking to when he's before Darkseid comes back?
Oh, Ronan. I have.
Ronan was also, I think, great. as a
Yes.
character in this movie. And again, yeah, you really felt this like you felt this like because I guess like you have the danger of like becoming a like having a copycat of Thanos, and they managed to pull off where I didn't think of it that way.
You don't get a lot of Ronin, but
But you
what you
know what I
do,
mean? Like,
what you do get of them is good. But you have this trilogy. You have this like uh, these three guys. They're one's Steppenwolf, one's Darkseid, and one's Ronin, and they're the guys with the dialogue. You have Granny Goodness who's in the background, but I'm pretty sure Granny Goodness is like fully CG. That's not even a real person at all. So
mm,
they never do anything with Granny. But when you see these guys talking to each other and stuff, it's believable. Like you're not thinking, you're not off put by the fact that it's two CG characters having a conversation in a scene that is like completely all fake. You know, there's nothing real about a lot of these scenes. Like they're like 100% on a computer. Like they're not like a lot of like entire scenes of dialogue that go on for 2 and 3 minutes. I guess this is where the money went of these guys talking to each other, and you buy it. You buy the relationship because you see Steppenwolf plead to Ronan, "Let me talk to him. Like I'm going to get back in his graces." And then you understand. Ronan's like, "No, you betrayed. You let him down.
mm-hmm.
You're a piece of crap." And you know Ronan doesn't like him. Ronan's like the Smithers to Darkseid's Mr. Burns, right?
Right, I
And
guess so.
he's kind of like the cock block or the roadblock for Steppenwolf, right? Like he's like, I just want to get back with him. I just want to love him again. He's like, you ain't touching my man. Like, you know what I mean? It's that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
until you get
Kind of
50,000 planets, right? Like
yeah,
that was like
it's like ridiculous demands, right?
right.
And Ronan tells Darkseid, he's like, dude's gonna fail you. He's not up for this, and he's right. And he tells Darkseid at the end, he's like, and you know what I thought? I thought it was going to be the stereotypical thing where he goes, "I told you, Darkseid, that he would fail you." And Darkseid's like, "Yes, you did." And I thought Darkseid was just going to kill Ronan right then and there, right? Because
No, yeah.
that's we're conditioned to think
To think that's gonna happen. Yeah,
in
it's
those
true.
stupid action terms, right? But no, this is Darkseid's advisor, trusted advisor, probably for millennia or whatever the fuck, and because some of these characters are like millennia old, and that's another interesting thing that is cool about the movie is that you're dealing with like superhero mythology in a very deep kind of layered way, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. Like the more I
It is
think
really
about it, the more I talk about it, it's like, damn, I gotta
yeah,
watch this movie again.
I'm trying to watch it in surround sound. Like I can't wait to see it like, again on a bigger screen with surround sound.
So part two is called The Age of Heroes, and that's basically where Steppenwolf sets up his base in Chernobyl. And I like the fact that there's nobody there, right? Like it makes sense. And
It's such an improvement, yeah.
I like the fact that he likes it because he's like, oh, like this is like the shit stain on human society. What a perfect place to set up base.
Ironically, it's not poisonous anymore because the mother boxes use the radiation,
Mm,
eat it all up. So funny enough, like the site might actually be safe at the
yeah,
end,
he
like
inadvertently saved Chernobyl.
like it's funny.
Um, yeah, we get a lot of Dyson stuff. Is it Dyson? Not Dyson. I'm thinking some other character. God, what? I gotta look it up. What's Cyborg's dad's name?
Oh, Stone, but I don't remember his first name. Dr. Stone.
Doctor Stone and Victor Stone's dad. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we get a lot of him, and he was
a
a
lot
great
more.
character. I can't remember the actor's name right now, but he's been in tons of stuff, and he's a great actor. Let me look him up. Hold on, let me pull up IMDb. Um, Zack Snyder, Justice League, full cast and crew. So that would be where are you, Dr. Stone?
Oh, Joe Morton.
Silas
Yeah, Joe
Stone, and it's
Morton.
Joe
Joe
Morton.
Morton
Yeah,
is his name. Yeah.
yeah, and Joe Morton. Just to give the audience a little refresher, of his filmography as an actor. He's been in like a ton of stuff, but like the most 10 or so most recent projects are like Justice League, that Godzilla, King of Monsters. Oh, he was on the show Scandal. That's right. That's where I know him from really well. I don't know if you ever watched the show.
Yeah, he's most known for his role in Terminator 2.
Yeah, and in Terminator 2, he's Dyson. That's why you said Dyson. I
That's why I
forgot.
said
That's what I
Dyson. Yeah,
was like. I was like, why are you calling him
so
Dyson?
I
That's
always
right.
remember him as Dyson.
Yes, and he actually sacrifices himself in that movie with a button too, which
What's
is really funny.
what you doing, Dyson? You're responsible for the end of the
Right?
world.
He's like breathing. That's an intense scene. He's like breathing in Terminator
That's
2, and
that's
then
one of the best scenes in that movie.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then his last breath, he drops the thing, and it explodes. It is one of the best scenes. It's true.
he
Um,
he's a guy when you think of now, like especially after watching this, he's like the self-sacrificing guy. Like
well, at least
he's
in
a
those
noble
two movies.
self-sacrificing
Yeah,
dude who will like he'll die for the greater good, right?
yeah. I forgot. Oh my god, that's why you called him Dyson. But funny enough, he plays Dr. Stephen Hamilton on the Smallville series, so it's not his first time being in the DC kind of vibe there. And then let's see, Law and Order, of course. Everyone's on Law and Order. Every single actor that's ever been on TV, I feel like, has been on Law and Order, right?
Yeah,
But then Scandals. So Scandals, and I guess he's in a ton of episodes of The Good Wife. But Scandals a great show, and he plays Olivia Pope's father, Rowan Pope, and he's fantastic in that as well. So check out Joe Morton. He's a great actor. But again, I find he's totally lost in the previous cut, and here he has like a real defined story and a defined role, and like you really feel like it was interesting because like it's nice because Cyborg is being like angsty, and Victor is being like angsty and like kind of mean to him and like is angry at him. But then you see him throughout the film starting to soften up to his dad and like kind of realizing like, oh, maybe being a superhero is like my calling, and maybe like maybe being like maybe this isn't like as bad as it was. And it's just it really it makes
it's great that his dad is a character that is constantly inspiring hope and never giving up on him. He's like
yeah,
constant. It's like he's
yeah,
beating it into his
totally.
head. He's like, "You are powerful. You are special," and it's so well illustrated in the fact that he's like, "You could destroy the world with a thought."
Yeah, that whole scene, that whole thing, that was not
He's literally the most powerful being in the world.
on Earth. Yeah, not anymore now that Superman's back, but
And now even more so, even more
no, he
so.
is. Yeah, he's because he's melded with these like
because
the
because because
mother,
super
the mother
because
things, right?
Superman does because Superman doesn't have the power of all the nukes in the world at his disposal.
Right. He doesn't have that, and he doesn't like that was also another
Eh,
touching scene where he gives the woman money, like like fills her bank account and makes it look like it was like a bank reward, right? Like and all that. There's just so many good enriching scenes. And so yeah, to me this cut alone, just for the cyborg stuff alone, this is a way better experience. I would say, like just like you were saying, no one should waste their time with the theatrical release of Batman versus Superman. Just watch the Ultimate Edition. I
Yeah.
actually would say the same thing about Justice League. Just like if you haven't seen Justice, like if you're gonna watch Justice League for the first time, just watch the Snyder cut. Don't waste your time with the theatrical cut because it's a whole different film, and and this invalidates it, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like this movie invalidates that previous cut completely. Like
So do
it's far superior.
I like the incorporation and more of the exploration of Star Labs. Like I was like, I find this beneficial. I find this stuff that was completely eliminated for good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I understand. There's a lot of characters they had to just chuck because they couldn't. I mean, they couldn't make it 4 hours. They had to make it 2 or 3 hours. And it is true. You could take maybe a half an hour to 45 minutes out of this to have made an original theatrical thing, like all the prologue stuff. Take that out immediately because that wouldn't have been in the original version anyway. If they had let Zack Snyder release a 3 hour version of Justice League, it would have been very much like this, minus like all the end stuff that they tacked on.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think that's the thing for me is like the I think the future apocalyptic future stuff, like It's great. It's interesting because I have a lot of questions about it. But if it wasn't in the film, it wouldn't have bothered me at all.
Yeah, it's
And actually,
inconsequential to the current
right,
story. It's just a hint at what could
what
be.
could be. And then the other thing is, I liked because you hyped him up a little bit for me. I like Martian Manhunter, but he could also, if he were never in the film, it wouldn't make a it wouldn't make a damn difference.
Wouldn't make a damn
It,
difference.
it wouldn't make a damn difference either. So I think that's interesting. Again, I like that he's in there. It's interesting, but it is.
There's
I would.
they also introduced another superhero, Atom, Atom. He's a character, Ryan Chow. He's Stone's assistant,
Yeah, so he's gonna be
the guy who takes over
gonna happen
after.
to him. He's gonna become a metahuman or whatever.
Yeah, it becomes apparently he will. His character was meant to become Atom.
Okay.
I don't know much about the character. He's just a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics.
I think I remember Adam from the cartoon. Um,
He
the
went he went on to become a member of the Justice League.
Justice League. Yeah.
Do you remember the advertising for this movie way back in the day? It was all about Unite the Seven, and everybody was scratching their head thinking that there had to be an extra a member or even a
Mm,
potential member
that was
because
the Joe. That was the Martian Manhunter stuff, I
yeah,
guess, right?
yeah,
That
and
makes sense.
that's where they were going. Like by the next one, it would be
So
the seven are united. You know what I mean?
yeah, he if he had like three more scenes in the film, it would have made his character worth it. But I mean,
It's
I get
literally only two.
he
It's just two
literally
in a
has
4 hour movie, and
and
it's
there's
just like you know
surprise
what?
scenes that like come out of nowhere and don't really like I mean like I can infer that he's on the fence about helping, but then he sees what they're doing and he's like, okay, well, I want to help these guys too, right? Or whatever. But I kind of like I like also that they show that he's the dude from who I guess he starts off as a general and now he's like a super decorated like maybe he's a 4-star general at this point or whatever. So I like that it connects the Martian Manhunter to that character. But again,
Yeah,
I think a couple more scenes with him, like maybe looming around, watching what's happening, deciding whether or not to like, intervene or like just something would have been
yeah.
interesting. But he's literally like, I think just put in because Zack Snyder like has something planned for him in the future or
It's
just really
it.
likes that character or whatever.
There's a degree of world building that they tacked on to this movie that you could say it could do without, but at the same time, it's like if you're a fan and it's like good fan service, then why not? And it's kind of like an ad for like, look what we can do with this world in the future. Look what we can do with it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
Uh,
were hyped about this character, so it's good that he got his moment, I suppose.
so going back to chapter two, Bruce Wayne and Diana meet an hour into the movie. Like we're an hour into the movie, and they're only like she's only walking in, and I'm now fixing the thing. There's a line about the security system.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how some of these things come like so much later. But the important thing about this scene is she tells the big story about her dad. Uh, the leader of the invaders was being called Darkseid, a name cursed and feared in every universe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Darkseid was met in battle by Earth's defenders, and you see the Atlanteans. That's like it reminded me of kind of like Lord of the Rings
Yeah, it was very much
stuff.
like the Sauron versus even right down to his like battle axe being so powerful and he could just like do all this stuff. And
This is only the
so
second chap. This is only the
in that
second chapter of the movie, by the way, and there's already like a finale worthy almost battle in it that's fucking like epic.
it was a
Like
really good battle.
When Darkseid jumps off the ship and like lands on the ground and puts his fucking hands in the dirt, and then like everything they all do like a charge and like he's battling and he's overwhelmed. I like that. They're like Earth ain't taking no guff, man. Like they're not fucking around, and they fuck him up, and I
Yeah,
like that. And like to the point where he's like bleeding out and he's passing out and everything. Like you see that he is vulnerable to some extent, right?
yeah. I also wonder they did a little thing where so the Green Lantern ring, I guess does it return to the Lantern
Core,
uh
yeah.
core, I guess. So that's interesting. So that's kind of a cool.
Unless it goes on another worthy person, I don't know. I'm not
But
too
I
sure.
guess it could be yeah, of course there's going to be like that was 5,000 years ago, so yes, I'm sure there were like many worthy lanterns that possess that ring since then. But it is kind of cool that you see it like go off like that, because it kind of then like sets up this idea of like who's going to be the next ring bearer, so to speak, or
Yeah.
whatever,
And
which is cool.
I gotta give it to Zack Snyder. The intercutting between Wonder Woman telling Batman this story and like this like pure effects show that so looks so good. And I'm not talking about photorealistic. It looks good. It just artistically and the way it's just put together, it doesn't look as there's a degree of artificiality to it, I admit, but it's stylized in a way where it's acceptable, if that makes any sense. Uh, yeah, you get them all charging, man, and it's like what an epic scene for just like pretty early on. And
Yeah, there's a
you
lot.
see Wonder Woman's dad fuck shit up.
Wait, do you?
He's that big jack dude. And then I had to think about like how does he have sex with a little Amazonian? Because some of the people are very like some are giants and some are like normal
Wait,
size. And
you're talking about Zeus is her
Zeus,
dad. That's right. Oh, because you're like
he,
Wonder
he's
Woman's
he,
dad. And I'm like, wait,
he's the big jack dude who looks like he's the dude from 300. He looks
that's
like
Zeus. Yeah, that's Zeus. That's like
he looks like Jared Butler from
her dad's a
300. He's like
god.
this is Sparta.
So Zeus appeared to his lovers in various forms. So I
Okay,
wonder what form he appears to Wonder Woman's mom as, because he's come back as a golden bull, a swan. Uh, I like this one. This is my favorite. A golden shower, and that's how it's described in
what?
mythology.
Jesus.
But it makes sense. It's not what we call golden showers now, but like a shower of literal gold from back in the mythological days. That's how he impregnated one of his lovers, and he was a swan for another another
Jesus Christ.
lover. Yeah, Zeus is a little weirdo. And then
So
sometimes
basically,
he was an eagle for his gay lover Ganymede, who he took as a child, which is gross. Zeus is
okay,
so yeah.
this is not that. This is the Justice League. This is not
It's the
fucking.
same dude. It's the same Zeus. It is the same guy. So I wonder who he appears to. What's her face? Queen Hippolyta as. It'll be interesting. I don't know. A
Basically,
horse. A horse came out of the woods, and the next
oh
thing I
god.
knew, I was. Sorry, PJ. I had a drink.
So they left the boxes on the Earth. The dark side's like, oh shit, we forgot the boxes.
Right.
So
And then I guess that's maybe how they
th-
lost the coordinate. Like that's the part that I don't understand. I get when I rewatch it, I'm gonna pay more attention. Maybe Blue, if you're still in the audience, if you understood why, but like that's the part I understand. Like, how did they lose the coordinates? Like you have to like get to Earth. And he does say we'll use the old way to get back there because the portal doesn't work. So maybe the boxes have something to do with bringing them there. But now they know where Earth is because what's his face tells him that the anti-life equation is here on Earth as well. So I think he needs that plus the boxes or something
okay,
like that.
we I don't know what the anti-life equation is. I'm trying to. He says it's he controls mind. I don't know. They don't really explain exactly what it is, and it's okay. It's just a second MacGuffin that like they throw away. That's just like a setup for a future thing.
Wow, there's a huge article about it on Wikipedia. So it's something that came from Jack Kirby, even is what it looks like. So I'm not going to read it right now, but it was mentioned it's been mentioned in the DC animated universe. It was mentioned in Smallville and Teen Titans Go, um, a bunch of stuff. So Justice League. So it is something we just don't know about it. This is like when a true comic nerd can tell us more about it. But in the first paragraph just says the anti-life equation is a fictional concept appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics in Jack Kirby's Fourth World setting. The
Okay,
anti-life equation is a formula for total control over the minds of sentient beings that is sought by Darkseid, who for this
Okay, so
reason,
it's what I said earlier. It was
yeah,
like,
who for this reason sends his forces to Earth, as he believes part of the equation exists in the subconsciousness of humanity itself. Various comics have defined the equation in different ways, but a common interpretation is that the equation is a mathematical proof of the futility of living. So there you go. That's the anti-life equation in a nutshell.
so what did you think of the introduction to Flash in the pet store?
Way better, so much better. Because before we saw him talk to his dad, no, before Bruce Wayne's scene with him is the first scene, right?
No,
No, it's the talking to his dad in the
but
prison, right?
the introduction to this is what I love about the movie, where it's in chapters and stuff. Part three, by the way, which is an hour and 9 minutes into the movie, it that's the introduction to Flash at the beginning of that. So like part three is called "Beloved Mother, Beloved Son," and it begins with the Flash scene where he's in the pet store and he sees Iris West almost die, and he goes out. What'd you think of that whole slow motion thing? Was that funny to you? And the way he does it, the way he spins her around, the way he eases her down,
It
makes
was
so much
funny.
sense.
It was funny, but it described like the astronomical speed he's like this where he like the state of like I loved it a lot. But it was funny because I didn't know what was gonna happen with the hot dog. Like how he grabs it, and I thought he was moving it out of the way so her face doesn't hit it or something, right?
Oh,
Like,
okay, yeah.
but he then puts it in his pocket, and it's great. It just lands really well. This version of the Flash also is a little more, I think, well balanced. Like you really get to see Ezra Miller fleshed out, like Ezra, his performance fleshed out more. Because before, I think they just like left all the quirky in, and they didn't put in the sweet, which you like the part that makes him a superhero, right? Like the fact that he would save her, like
Yeah.
like the fact that he was crushing on her, like showing that he was making a connection with someone. It just made him more of a teenager than just like kind of like a
I,
the other
I
read the other read comes across as like a little bit like to me like he's a little too on the edge, like he drinks way too much coffee. Whereas in this read, he reads more like a balanced character, and I like that a lot about everything that was added about the Flash. And Flash is one of my favorite characters, and I really love Ezra Miller as a performer. I think he's fantastic, and I was very excited. Even though I like Grant Gustin's version of the Flash on TV, I was glad that Ezra Miller was portraying him in the movies instead of Grant Gustin, because I really like Ezra Miller as an actor. So I
and
was happy to see that.
that scene also follows a brand new scene that we've never seen, um, with the dragging the Atlanteans out from under the water and bringing him up on the shore and throwing that guy across the fucking rocks, and his head smashes against the rocks and shit. And they used the spider thing, which I thought was kind of hokey. That was the one thing I was like, the spider thing projecting like digital holograms of their mind, and
I actually like that as a method of it was a good it was believable. Like this thing kills you by like remove, like it takes all it forces you to give up all these memories or whatever it wants to know. I
I just
liked it.
I
Yeah,
like the concept of it. Just the
yeah.
visual representation of it was I didn't quite like.
Blue Sparrow says, "Do you think Ezra Miller is cute, Starfleet boy?" Yes, I do. I wouldn't turn him a date down with Ezra Miller. He's very attractive. There, I've answered your question.
Then you get a little shot of Lois like with Superman's cape, and that's like goes away, and then it cuts right back to Wonder Woman and Batman, and they this is where they this is where she meets Victor Stone, or they're trying to meet Victor Stone, but you get like his backstory and stuff with the football. This is all part three, right? Chapter three, and this is where you get the Victor Stone backstory with the game, his mother, the accident, what his father had to do, and like it's so well illustrated and well paced, and it actually takes the time to tell a specific chapter. And the way that chapters work are almost like the way the chapters in a book work. Like you can actually visualize the novelization of this movie. You know what I mean? It's very easy actually to imagine the chapters as they're set up in the movie as chapters in a book. Like actually well drawn out dialogue scenes, moments, because often movies have to cut shit everywhere. So everything just goes by too quick. You know what I mean? That nothing has time to breathe, and that's the advantage of this movie. Every like people complain about Zack Snyder's slow motion. One of the best things that he does is slow mo stuff. You can do that stuff and be really bad at it, but you look at 300 and you look at Watchmen. What he does in Watchmen, he uses like he speeds it up and slows it down. He like uses a variance, and he uses that in the football scene and stuff like that, right? But yeah, I think we're
He loves he loves slow motion, but he also loves high contrast, and the two combined, I think, really work well together. So yeah, I think his style has improved a lot. This would be one of his most beautiful films, I think, just like from the look of it and everything like that. I really enjoyed it. I love that like I love that like in today's society, this is kind of to me showing evidence of how garbagey theatrical cuts are. And that like I kind of remembered that like we used to get a lot more director's cuts. I just wish we never got theatrical cuts anymore. I wish everything was just the director's cut. You know what I mean? Like, because it's the same. I feel like it's the same. Like for a lot of movies, like I remember we would get like director's cuts of movies, and they were
yeah.
always better, right? It's like why not just do like after learning this all the time, why not just do the director's cut? And I know there's probably like
That's
uh,
you know that's a testament to why people are more drawn to form storytelling now than going to
I mean,
movies
I admit
anymore.
it's a lot easier to like it's a lot easier to have it
What are
in the
Marvel movies?
streaming format where you can pause. Like I was very grateful that I could pause it, go to the bathroom, or go get a drink of water. You know what I mean? Like or whatever. But like I would sit through a movie like this with
Also,
an intermission.
we gotta get through this a bit quicker, because we're halfway through, almost halfway through. But besides all the stuff with Cyborg, and also all part three is about Cyborg learning his powers, which is great, helping that girl like with the more money situation, and basically learning how powerful he is. And you get some stuff with Flash and his dad, which was in the Whedon version, but this is a little more dragged out. Like his dad's telling him, "Don't come visit me anymore." Then it's followed right by Bruce Wayne meeting Flash for the first time. There's differences in that scene. Did you notice them? When Bruce Wayne he shows up at uh, his apartment and Bruce Wayne is there.
Well, it's a like a basement, right, or whatever his like whatever it is. Yeah, his lair,
His Fortress of Solitude.
solitude or whatever. Yeah, but I didn't notice the difference. What was the difference?
No brunch. No brunch jokes.
Oh, okay. I did not.
He's less an idiot. And he's more
Yeah,
just
that's
like
what it is. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's less like
I didn't mind him in the Joss Whedon version to be honest, but he's actually better here. He's
he's
more
way better here. I didn't mind him until I saw this version. Like I was like, okay, that's like it's cool. I like that version of him, but this is like a way more improved version of that. You know, like again, now that other version to me seems like he's just like drank like 10 cups of coffee and that's why he's like so wired all the time. But you know, I like this way better. And you can
uh,
see they like improve the friendship between them, like how he's like talking about how he's talking with later on he's talking with um Adam, I'm sorry, Arthur, about like he's like what's up with him, and he's like he just wants to be alone, and you could tell that the Flash is like, you know, Barry's like very concerned about Victor and stuff like that. But yeah, going back to where the scene that you were talking about, I didn't notice that, but it did feel better. It felt longer somehow, or just like again more balanced and like a lot cooler. But I've always liked that scene. I love when he grabs the you know the the star, the ninja star, the bat ninja
oh
star,
yeah,
you know, and he grabs it and he's like you're Batman or whatever. And then, and it's still like the one other joke that I really loved about his character was like how he's like, stop right there, I'll do it. And Bruce Wayne's like, I didn't have to do anything. Like
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne's like, oh, you will? Like you're in? He's like, yeah, I need to
He's like, I need, I
socialize
need,
more
I
with
need friends. Yeah.
friends or whatever. Yeah, and it's really funny because Bruce Wayne needs friends too. So I like that scene a lot.
Um,
The only thing that I still don't, the joke about what's your superpower? It's being rich still doesn't land with me, but whatever. It's like I get why it's funny.
it comes across less as a joke in this version for some reason. I don't know how to explain that, even though it's almost the same. Um, by the way, the like an hour and 47 minutes into the movie, and he still hasn't got the second mother box. That's the Aquaman stuff, and it's so late, but it's brutal, and it's like he chops a dude in half. And you see blood in the water and shit. And like you didn't see any of that in the
Yeah,
other version, and Mira is more badass. But yeah, Aquaman realizes then Victor Stone has already said no, right? So like he's the second person to say no. And now Aquaman is like, fuck, I can't take this guy. That's the thing about Steppenwolf. They realize one by one they can't. They're not a match. They need to team up to fucking get him, right? And Aquaman realizes this like in
mm-hmm.
defeat. But you also get Willem Dafoe. He wasn't in
Oh
the.
yeah, so that was great. What's his character though? Who is he?
He's he's, he's the dude from the movie, the Aquaman. He's his
Oh,
mentor.
that's right, his mentor. That's right. Were those new film scenes, or were they cut out before?
No, no, all filmed way back in the day
Oh wow,
before.
very good, very cool.
Before
Yeah, I like the addition of all that stuff.
so when he gets the second mother box, he's then able to get a message to Darkseid. Darkseid Skypes him then, right? It's like, oh, you have the two mother boxes. He's like, yes, and my parademons smell the third one here and there and everywhere, right? Like they don't really know where it is. So like, but
But they are close to getting them. That's more of a
that's the
Bane.
end. That's just the end of part 3. Now that's crazy. Like how fucking like not dragged out, but methodical the
I
storytelling
agree
is.
with Blue earlier though. It doesn't feel like a 4-hour film, and it goes by very quickly. And actually, the chapter breaks I think actually help to like make the film like more palatable, if you will, like in terms of like they kind of it's a really clever way of like kind of making you think about what you just saw for a
Yeah,
second, even though it's just like a split second, it's just like a title card on black. It really
yeah.
works well to kind of like make you digest what you just saw, and that's why the whole, like, to me the whole film is still very clear in my mind in terms of like everything that happened. Most of it makes sense, like, the story at least is really good, and like, yeah, everything, yeah, yeah.
You get some extra. You get some extra stuff with Gordon too that you didn't
Mhm,
see
mhm.
earlier in that part 3. But part 4 opens up. It's called the Change Machine or something like that, and that's the one where they all unite for the first time on the building on the building top. That joke where they disappear still doesn't land with me. It's like I like Flash's reaction to it, but like that's getting tired now. Every time they do the disappearing Batman thing, it's always a joke now. They did it in The Dark Knight Rises with Catwoman. Like Catwoman disappears and Batman's like, "Oh, that's how it feels." Oh, I'm like every time they do it now, it's just like not realistic. It's at all. So, but anyway, Batman does a landing. He's up in a thing and he does a superhero landing that looks fake as fuck. Still, I just want to acknowledge that like it's not all roses. Some of the shit still looks bad, and that's an example of it. Nitpick. I'm still invested, right? I'm not. But
It
yeah,
didn't break the world for you.
they there's another part where there's a whole subplot where people believe that the parademons are Batman, or somebody draws a parademon and it looks like Batman,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, right.
there's a whole subplot there, and that's an extra part of that rooftop scene that was cut out.
Oh, and the previous version had that's right, they cut all that nonsense out where the parademon explodes and leaves the cube image.
Oh, that was all. You can tell that was a Joss Whedon reshoot right away. Like the
Yeah,
whole
no, but
Batman.
I'm saying I'm really glad that that was gone. Like,
Yeah.
remember we were watching it when we were watching it, I was like kind of criticizing
Yep.
that scene, and like, yeah, I'm now I was just remembering that that was the scene that was gone, which is great too.
This is this part
Earl
four
Grey
chat.
Truckee says Willem Dafoe has such gravitas, at least in the film I have seen him in. And then Blue Sparrow says to me, if you don't mind, PJ, me hijacking your show again, what if I told you I look like Ezra Miller but older? Blue, I was wondering what you look like. Actually, there's been a debate because you've been very secretive. So I guess you're revealing that you're a man, or at least you identify as a male. So hey, if you're in Florida, I'm not opposed to dating. So like, hit me up. Let me know in the DMs
Okay,
if you look like
this is not a this is not a pickup. This is not a pickup bar.
yeah. But Blue mentioned. I just thought that's why I
Um,
said sorry for hijacking your show. I just
I'm joking. Yeah,
had to
it's
put
okay.
that
I don't
out
care.
there.
I don't care. I don't care.
But but then Blue and Earl Grey Truckee are also flirting. So
Yeah,
I
we
guess
got it. This is a long ass movie. We gotta keep.
sorry.
We gotta
Let's
chug
get back
along.
on track.
We gotta do
On
this.
track here.
So
Sorry.
all of this part four is about saving the people at the wherever they're, the silo, the plant, or whatever, where Steppenwolf has them captured, and that scene plays out way better too. Uh, the whole Flash saving everybody is much more fleshed out. Like his character and his reactions are all different from what you saw in the original version. But there's one the part where Flash helps Wonder Woman get her sword back, which I liked in the 2017 version, is still intact, so they didn't change that.
Wait, you cut out. What was that? You went
The
you went away on my screen. Sorry.
oh the uh, the scene where Flash um pushes the sword. I'm getting really tired now.
Oh, sorry. That was in that was in the Joss Whedon version.
No,
But you know what they did
no,
cut out?
no, that's what I
Did you
said. I said
mention
that.
that?
That's the anyway.
Did you mention though that they cut out all the stuff of him being afraid?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I just want to be clear. I didn't say they cut it out. I'm
Oh
saying I like that they kept it in, unchanged.
no, they cut out all his fear. Remember when he was in the?
No, no, no. Okay,
Sorry, go ahead.
the part I was just saying that where I cut out was I like the scene. I like the part where he pushes the sword. They left it in, and I like that. That's all. I didn't say it was cut
Oh,
out.
well, I'm saying I love that they cut out all the stuff where he was. Remember, he was like being afraid, and they were just. And Batman's like, even though it was kind of sweet, where Batman or whoever says
The-
like, "You'll know what to do. You'll know when the time is, or whatever. Like you'll figure it out." But I
yeah,
like that they cut that out. Actually, I appreciated it because it wasn't like again it didn't serve the character in my opinion. I thought he'd already developed a suit. He'd already been messing around with the Speed Force. Like it didn't make sense that he would be so
and all the rest of that scene is pretty much the same,
the same. Yeah.
except for the Steppenwolf, and like it all works out. That
Right. Right.
Aquaman comes in at the end and then joins them, and now it's like the spider, the crawler thing, which is okay. It's an elaborate CG scene that I can appreciate more in this cut, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, he gets the what is it? Oh yeah, Ray Fisher. Cyborg has the mother box, and that's the whole point about that. It's like they got to protect the
Yeah, and
third
then
mother
he ends
box.
up just burying it, which is funny.
No, no, he buried it at first, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he dug it up when he brought them to.
That's right.
But
Um,
you also get later like a lot of the origin of like how his dad discovered it and like how he cracked it open and
right, right.
like the how they
Exposing it to
investigated it
energy. Yeah.
and this whole like this laser thing they're investigating, like heating it up, like supercharged heating thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is all relevant to the plot. You're like, why is this laser stuff in here? And it pays off. It does. It does at the end. It totally pays off.
Yeah, the heat signature like is a great payoff, and 100%. Yeah, it worked really well. What did you think of? I know you're dying to wrap up the stream a little because you're getting tired, so I'll just ask you my most important questions that I had was, what did you think of this version of Superman getting in the action versus how it was before?
Um, yeah, way better.
100, right? That it got me like I wanted to be in a theater because that's one of those scenes where like the audience would just go crazy
And the
and
way they
start
build,
cheering the
and the
way
way
they
they
did,
build
and he's like, I'm not impressed. Like that whole thing was amazing.
but the way they build up to him like is different, like the way they talk about
Yeah,
him in the scenes, and then Cyborg shows the hologram, which was filmed and completed. That was a completed effect and everything, all that.
interesting.
And that's just another example of things, that shots that were fully completed that ended up in the
Oh,
trailer that
and
they never used.
they like beautifully set up the whole thing at the end with Barry with the Speed Force because when he in the if I'm not I might be remembering this wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but in this version when he goes to a certain speed, time reverses and you see
Yeah,
the cube come out of the water, right? And he's able to still touch it on time because the
yeah.
whole thing it had to touch before, like it had to like he had to touch it right before it hits the water, right? And
That's there, and it's totally relevant to the climax of the movie too. Like
yeah,
it's
and it
a
was great
callback.
because they set it up, and so you remember that, and so you're like, oh yeah, look, Barry's able to like, even though you get to see what happens when the mother boxes actually. What's satisfying is like you actually get to see what's going to happen when the mother boxes combine, right? But
Yeah,
then he's able to reverse it, and he's able to just touch him right at the exact right time. And if it weren't for the previous scene, like working the way it did, you wouldn't have the payoff. I think in this, and again, just so much better than him running off with that family in the truck, like not doing anything.
yeah.
You know what
Um,
I mean? Like, and I like that he even gets shot in this, and like the whole like him running around, like super fast in a circle is very
yeah.
cool.
The whole build up to Superman being resurrected too is like really drawn out, and it's really elaborate, and like the whole thing about digging up the grave that takes a while, and breaking into the ship and going past Dyson, like which all wasn't there before, like how his dad like calls off the security when he sees his son because he trusts him. He's like, "Oh, my son's with all these heroes, and they're gonna do something good. I trust him." Calls him off. They resurrect Superman, and Lois just happens to be out walking around, like getting some fresh air for the first time or something, like meeting up with the cop again, like and his introduction is pretty much the same, like the whole fight thing. The only difference is the Batman encounter is different, and the way Superman stops is a little different. Still Lois and shit, but when they go to the farm, right, and she says, "You smell good," and he goes, "I didn't before." That was in the 2017 version. That was
Hmm.
a dubbed over line. So the original line, which you hear in this, is they land and she goes, "You spoke," and he goes, "I didn't before," and that's what she actually said. And I'm like, Joss Whedon replaced "you spoke" with "you smell good."
Yeah,
What the
it's true.
fuck? It's so stupid.
And it was so much more a better payoff too of him going in the house, getting dressed, and saying like, "My mother really loved it here. I did too." And you can see everything is
And
coming
and
back to him, like his
and that
memories are coming back and stuff.
exactly, and that kind of revelation takes a bit of time on film. So
Mm-hmm.
they're taking a few minutes to show
Mm-hmm.
his initial confusion. He puts on the shirt and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I loved it here," and then he's starting to click, and you're like,
Right.
"Okay."
And Arthur explaining that it was like pure instinct, like that's like how an animal reacts, like, when it senses danger and like all that stuff. Yeah, it was
And
like just the whole, like I said, the whole suit, I guess because of the supporting dialogue and the missing scenes, it just lands like a million times better. Even if that same scene is still basically the same, it
yeah,
just lands a ton better. And I'm so glad that it, like, I just love that Lois was just doing her regular thing and she happens to decide to go out and give Jimmy Olsen a coffee that day and then that's how she ends up in on the scene. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that was
By
like
the way, I have to mention
a
Victor gets a vision when when the mother box is about to Flash is about to go and activate the mother box. He has a vision of like doom and stuff, and
Oh yeah.
it plays into this whole thing about the mother boxes have some kind of power to
Influence you or
influence
something,
you or
right?
give you like visions, or
Visions.
like it tempts him at first with illusions of his family.
Well, and
And
then
it,
Batman's visions now it's a little more strong, like the way they did it because
yeah.
he has a couple, right?
So this excuse me, this mystical supernatural element that they're leaning into in this movie is more fleshed out. So it's you it's more believable if you can say that.
I don't know if I could stand a whole movie in that post-apocalyptic future, but I
No, there
definitely,
was that's the point. It won't be that.
yeah, I'm glad.
That's
Yeah,
the
true.
entire that yeah, that's if they went that route, I would not be appealing. The whole point is that this is a warning that
Right, right, exactly.
and they actually show visions in the at some point in the movie of Darkseid coming and destroying everything with his omega beams.
Hmm.
But anyway, Cyborg's dad gets killed, self-sacrifice, heats up the box, boom, fucking Steppenwolf's got the third mother box. This is like 3 hours in, so we're almost done. Uh, yeah, so we got Superman stuff. I'm sorry, I'm
And
just
then you
skipping.
have, well, then you have the Batcave stuff where, like when they realize, the when they realize what the sacrifice was for, and then they go back to the Batcave, and I love that, like, again, we talked about this earlier, but just all the exchanges between all of them, the whole Alfred thing, and then of course, again, Cyborg figuring out how to make that. I didn't understand why the airplane couldn't fly before, but like whatever he does, like with the software to make it now a flyable bat cargo plane or
it
whatever.
was simply a software issue. That's
Yeah,
all
it
it
was a
was.
software issue, I guess, but
But,
whatever. That's interesting.
but
But
they go to Chernobyl then, right? They fly off to
yeah, so
Chernobyl.
then they fly off to Chernobyl, and then that's when Batman's like, this is why I brought you guys. I loved all that. Like he was actually going in for kamikaze. Like in his mind, he thought that like they're gonna have the best chance to get in if I go full kamikaze. And you do get that impression. He's like, this is why I brought you guys together. No matter what you see happening, please don't lose sight. Even though they do, they all end up somehow helping Batman anyways. But
But
still, like,
yeah, by the
like,
way, I
yeah,
the scene where Kal-El goes in the ship and all the costumes are popping out.
yeah, that's right.
And what'd you think of the black suit? Did you
I
like
loved
that?
it. I loved it.
He-
Yeah, and I remember there was something in the '90s or something where he wore a black suit for a little while in the comics, if I'm not mistaken. Because I used to kind of
yeah,
peruse the
that's been a thing in comics for a while.
Superman
Black
comics,
Superman
but
suit.
I thought it worked really well. Like I really enjoy. In fact, it's my I yeah yesterday's was it yesterday we were the day before yesterday our live stream for Batman versus
All
Superman. I
right.
had Tyler Hecklin, but now I have the
Yeah.
cal this one, the Henry Cavill.
There's a great shot of Henry Cavill above the earth and like the sun's in front of him and he's got his
Mm-hmm.
arms out like he's
Mm-hmm.
it's like one little shot. It's
His
great.
cells are drinking in the
It,
sun's radiation.
his cells are drunk on the radiation.
but but yeah, I thought that was interesting. I think that if we get another Henry Cavill adventure, I would like to see that ship turn into the Fortress of Solitude. I think it should he should like take it to the North Pole and turn it into the legit Fortress of Solitude. That would be very satisfying to me. But I'm also down with whatever Superman's we get coming in the future.
Yeah, so they have the big battle at Chernobyl and it's way more badass and Superman shows up and he's way more badass.
Yeah,
And they have
way
that
more badass.
and yes, they have that final moment where Superman cuts off one of Steppenwolf's horns and then as he's being like thrown through the portal, Wonder Woman chops his fucking head off, and then like, and then Darkseid on the other side just like crushes, like steps on the skull, not crushes it, but like breaks the other horn.
But it's like a huge blow to him, right? Like it's this whole thing of like, here you go, buddy. This is what we're saying. Like, go ahead, send the next person through. Let's see what we'll do to that. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly that. It's that look between them on the other side. It's like, come on,
yeah,
we're the Justice League, motherfuckers.
yeah, like it's
Take us on.
great. It really lands well. And again, like I think that's just one of those scenes. This is where I miss seeing a film like this in the theater because the energy of like having people react to that with you is just awesome. And you could tell that that scene would get like a ton of applause and reaction from an audience. Like it
There
was
is
very well, it was very
there there is
satisfactory.
there's a Superman 1978 type climax in the fact that they fail, they die, except for Flash, and then he's
Right.
like, I gotta
And then they
turn back
reverse. I
time.
got to turn back time. Yeah, like the whole Flash
His
thing
arc is
is,
beautiful in this movie, by the way. His
yeah,
arc is
he's
fucking
so good.
fantastic.
Yeah, both he and Cyborg. This film like does a
Even
really
Wonder
good.
Woman and Batman and Superman are better.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like
saying. Is like no one feels neglected. Like it really truly feels like an ensemble film, right? Like it feels like you
it's
get
it's it's pronounced ensemble,
ensemble.
ensemble.
Yeah, so that's like a good. That's like I think the hype is real for this. Like I'm not, I'm not going to be like, um, um, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's the greatest movie in the world, but it's such a huge improvement. Like this is the version of the film that I will only watch from now, and I will never watch the theatrical cut ever again.
So you get the conclusion of the movie basically. Um, the shot where Cavill is ripping open his shirt and walking toward the camera. I believe that was the final shot in Joss Whedon's version. You could have actually ended this movie here. That's at the 3 hour and 40 minute mark. But what happens is you get um, it cuts to the post credits that were in the original version. Like, remember you got like the whole thing where Lex Luthor is missing from Arkham,
Yes.
and you get the Deathstroke stuff. So then they cut immediately to the after credit stuff, but it's more extensive with Lex Luthor. He's more talking about like he's talking about revealing he's revealing that Batman is Bruce Wayne to Deathstroke instead of talking about like something else that was in the other version. Can't even remember the other version at this point.
Yeah, it's hard to remember it because this version's so good, but I know what you mean. Like, and
And
there
by
were
the way,
other people
by the
on
way,
the yacht.
the bald guy who they think is Lex Luthor in the cell,
Hmm.
it's a different take or a different actor because the other guy was just like a weird looking dude who didn't say much, and this guy's actually freaking out and laughing like the Joker
Right,
and whatnot.
right, right.
So yeah, that's different.
But then I guess you get, that reveal or whatever. Uh, but interestingly, I feel like before there was more people on the yacht. I don't know. It was a different, it had a different vibe before, but yeah, I liked it a lot better this time. Um, it
And
just felt better. Yeah.
then we cut to the extended nightmare sequence. That's all new stuff, and it's
So Deathstroke's in that one, like, so I guess they team up later on in this extended version,
yes,
right?
they're a team of Batman, Deathstroke, Mira,
Flash
Flash, and Joker's
and
there
Joe
too,
is in it too. And so apparently Lois is dead. It seems like
and
Wonder Woman
Cyborg.
and Cyborg, yeah. And it seems like, so it's apparently Lois is dead. It seems like Wonder Woman's dead, and it seems like Arthur's dead as well. What's his face?
Yes,
Aquaman.
Aquaman. And what happened was Batman let Lois die somehow, or he didn't prevent her death. Lois died anyway, and Superman loses it. There's a scene earlier, like a flash forward, I guess, or a premonition, or where he's holding her skeleton, and Darkseid puts his hand on Superman's shoulder,
Right.
and that's, I guess, where he turns. So anyway, they're afraid of
Which
Superman.
which is the only part of the Snyderverse or the Snyder interpretation that I don't believe Superman would ever become what is depicted in this alternate future. But I don't hate it. I just don't believe it. But anyways, go. Even if Lois died,
Yeah,
I don't
so
think. Yeah.
yeah, and then we get that long exchange between Joker and Batman, where for the first time we hear Batman drop an F bomb ever. He's like,
I didn't even.
I fucking kill you. Like that whole thing, that like the tension between them was like beautiful. And that's
Yeah,
the
it was
only
nice to
that's
see Jared Leto act opposite.
and
And
it is actually, in fact, the first time you see Ben Affleck's Batman interact with this version of the Joker to
Joker.
any
Yeah.
extent, besides like trying to catch him in Suicide Squad.
Hmm.
And that's beautiful. Like Batman just wants to fucking kill him, and Slade Wilson's like, "You still think it was a good idea?" Is it Slade Wilson? You still think it's a good idea to bring him along? Of course, Superman lands down. He's about to kill them all, and this is how they die. And
Deathstroke, right? Yeah.
Joker's laughing. Wakes up. It's a fucking dream. Of course, Martian Manhunter shows up. Justice League 2's on the way. Basically, movie's over. That's the end.
Well, just to be clear, Martian Manhunter shows up after the dream sequence. He doesn't show up in the future. In the
I already said Bruce Wayne wakes up.
Oh,
It was
wakes
all
up.
a
You did.
dream.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. That's funny. Yeah, then he appear. He appears. I actually think it was funny because they made it seem like it was Superman visiting him because of the black cape. But yeah, it was the suit. But it was
Oh,
that
I
was
had to,
good. Nice recap.
I had to get this done before 11 o'clock my time
Oh yeah, you must be exhausted.
they're doing siding on the house really early, so I have to go to bed earlier now.
All right. Well, this was fun talking about it.
No, but no. I mean, I still have 15 minutes, so
Oh, okay.
we give our final thoughts.
uh, I guess just again, super glad we watched all of the
I'm sorry if I sped through it too much, like, but it is a 4-hour movie, and we can talk about it in chapters, even if at some point, or even do watch-alongs in chapters, like 2 or 3 chapters at a
Yeah, I don't
time.
think we could do a watch along in 4 hours. I would be like
No.
dying. There'd be a lot of make it shows.
Anybody in the chat want us to do watch-alongs in 2 or 3 chapter chunks?
That was funny. Blue Spark says this was great. Thank you. My final thoughts are just like, again, it was really awesome to have watched Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and then this movie within close within close succession. Sorry for
It's
my
okay.
throat there. Within close succession, because it feels like one big work to me. Like if it like legitimately feels like one, like it was meant to be a triptych or a trilogy or just like a 3-part, play or whatever you want to call it. Because and then in this version, in the Snyder cut, like the moments that recall Man of Steel are very present and real, and the moments that recall Batman versus Superman are very present and real. And it's just like, again, it's all very nicely interconnected and interwoven. So I think this is a superior film. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch it again. Aside from all the things that connect and everything like that, it's just a fun movie. Like it actually, like it goes by. You don't think it's like 4 hours, and it's really awesome. So highly recommend the Snyder cut. It is worth. It is in my mind, it lives up to the hype. And if I had to give this a rating, I don't think we've been rating the other ones, but I would give this a good solid 10 out of 10.
Well, I think it's the best DCEU. It's Zack Snyder's best movie.
Yeah, it's
It's
one of
one
his.
of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. Uh, I don't know about scores though. I have to watch it again. Like at this point, I would give it like an 8.5 or a 9 or something, because it's not
Oh,
like
we didn't even
perfect,
talk
but
about
it's
the music, but the additional music was really great. And I guess it was a different composer doing the main score in this one, and it was really good too. I loved it.
Hans Zimmer did the original, and Junkie
Right.
XL took hints of that and eliminated some things like the 80s Batman theme that comes in at the rooftop scene. That's gone. It's a
Oh, then
different
it's not Hans Zimmer. Actually, it was what's this?
Junkie XL. Can you hear
No,
me?
the original one was Danny Elfman. That's why they brought the Batman theme back and everything like that. I remember now. Danny Elfman did the score for Justice League, the theatrical cut. I'm pretty
What?
sure PJ is going to look it up, but I'm almost 100% sure it was Danny Elfman.
I thought it was Hans
Yeah, and
Zimmer.
that's why he brought the Batman because he felt that that's Batman's real theme, and so he brought it back for that. I remember reading an article or seeing an interview by him. So yeah, Danny Elfman's score was great, but this was just as good,
Oh, it
if
was
not
Danny
better.
Elfman.
Yeah,
Why am
yeah,
I thinking Hans Zimmer?
because he did Man of Steel and probably
Yes, that's
Batman
right. Yeah.
versus Superman, and he does a lot of movies. But yeah, yeah. So the music was really good too. Sorry, but go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you, PJ.
Oh, what was I saying?
You were just doing your closing thoughts.
Oh no. It's just great. I want to watch it again. I want to examine it more. Like I said, it's very layered. Uh, I don't know. There's a lot of hype about it. I don't want to like jump on the train of saying it's so great because everybody else is saying it. Excuse me. But the fact that I kept watching it, I planned on like just breaking it up. It held my attention the whole way through. So it actually took me like 5.5 hours because I had to got a little snack. You know what I mean? Like took a break and whatever. But it was a good experience. It's like binging a TV show almost, or like a mini series. And I just hope they continue it.
What
All
would you
right.
give it a rating of? Because it was for you.
I already
I think it
said.
was. Oh wait, I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Am I cutting out?
Maybe, or it could have been just a moment that I didn't pay attention for
We're
some
both
reason.
too tired to even hear anything now.
What
So
was your rating again? To reiterate,
I
and
said maybe 8.5 or 9. I don't know.
oh, okay,
I have to
yeah,
watch it again.
that was like how you felt about Justice League when it first came out, and then you knocked it down to a 7.5. So that's good to.
Justice League. No, I
No,
hated
that was
Justice
BVS.
League
That's
is
right. That was
yeah.
BVS. Sorry, that was BVS. That's right. That's right.
The ultimate edition, yeah. Yeah. Not the theatrical cut. Just like right now you never acknowledge 2017's version except for like to study,
Right.
like to look at like just for fascination's sake, I guess. I don't know. All right. Thanks, people in the chat. Earl Grey Trekkie and Blue Spark. And
I was trying to do the bat symbol, but I can't do it with my hands.
looks like you're grabbing your imaginary breasts.
That's great. Thanks, Robbie, for sticking with us all this time from all the way from Scotland and Blue, wherever you live. That's not Florida. I hope you. Thanks for joining us and being a good friend to both our channels.
Have a good night, folks, and
Bye.
watch the movie.
Yeah, go watch some